Will XRP make me a millionaire? It's a question more and more people quietly ask themselves, not out of greed, but out of hope. But what does becoming a millionaire actually mean? Is it about price, timing, or something else entirely? And more importantly, is this even the right question to ask? Let's dive in. Before talking about XRP, we need to define the word everyone uses so casually. A millionaire doesn't mean financial freedom. It simply means having 1 million units of a currency, usually dollars. And in today's world, inflation, taxes, and living costs have dramatically changed what that number actually represents. $1 million in the 1990s meant something very different than it does today. Housing, healthcare, education, and even basic living expenses have all increased. So when people ask if XRP can make them a millionaire, they're often chasing an outdated idea of wealth without realizing it. This is where XRP enters the picture. Many holders imagine a simple path: buy, wait long enough, and let one big cycle change everything. The idea is comforting because it turns uncertainty into a single event. One price move, one moment, one decision that solves it all. These narratives spread fast because they remove complexity. You don't need a plan, just patience. You don't need structure, just belief. But financial reality doesn't work like a movie climax. Wealth is rarely created in one moment. It's usually built through boring, incremental steps most people underestimate. When you strip emotions away, becoming a millionaire is a math problem. It depends on 3 things: how much you start with, how much it grows, and how long you hold. Most people focus only on price targets and ignore the compounding, time, and scale required to reach life-changing numbers. This is why extreme outcomes are statistically rare, not because assets never grow, but because the assumptions required are unrealistic. Massive returns, perfect timing, and flawless emotional control rarely happen together. Ignoring one of these variables is often enough to turn a promising scenario into disappointment. XRP also exists within economic boundaries. Supply, circulation, and time all shape what's possible and what isn't. Even strong adoption doesn't erase these constraints. Growth happens within limits, not beyond them. Understanding those limits doesn't kill opportunity. It protects you from building expectations that reality can't support. Unlike many assets, XRP has a known maximum supply. There is no mining and no surprise issuance. But that doesn't mean price can grow infinitely. A fixed supply only defines the ceiling, not the speed. Demand, usage, and time still decide how value evolves, not wishful thinking. This is where time becomes the most underestimated factor. Compounding works slowly, then suddenly, but only if growth is consistent, adoption is real, and capital stays invested. Most people imagine exponential returns without exponential patience, and that gap between expectation and reality is where disappointment usually begins. A realistic scenario doesn't involve overnight wealth. It looks like gradual progress, partial wins, and long periods of nothing happening. XRP doesn't need to dominate the world to matter financially. Even moderate success can shift outcomes, but only for those who understand scale, allocation, and time. For some, XRP might mean portfolio diversification. For others, it could represent asymmetric upside within a broader strategy. But very few scenarios involve a single asset solving every financial problem. Wealth is usually built through combinations, not concentration. Expecting one token to do everything is how risk quietly multiplies. The biggest mistake is thinking outcomes are binary, rich or broke. Real financial progress often sits in the middle. Better flexibility, more options, reduced pressure. These shifts rarely go viral, but they matter far more in real life than extreme outcomes most people chase online. Even if the numbers work, humans introduce friction. Fear, greed, hesitation, and regret shape decisions more than spreadsheets. Many people sell too early, hold too long, or freeze at the wrong moment. These mistakes aren't rare, they're normal, and they quietly erase gains long before price targets are ever reached. History shows that very few people perfectly ride a full cycle. Timing tops and bottoms requires discipline most don't have. The story of overnight success often ignores years of doubt, boredom, and second-guessing. Surviving volatility isn't about intelligence, it's about emotional endurance over time. This is why many people who believed early still miss the outcome they imagined. Not because they were wrong about the asset, but because they underestimated themselves. Wealth creation isn't just about being right once. It's about staying aligned with your plan through years of uncertainty and emotional noise. At this point, the real question shifts. It's no longer, will XRP make me a millionaire? But rather, how does XRP fit into a real financial plan? Without fantasy, without shortcuts. Assets don't create wealth on their own. Decisions do. And clarity matters more than optimism when stakes are real. XRP can be many things: a hedge, an asymmetric bet, a long-term position. But it cannot replace discipline, diversification, or patience. No asset removes risk, and no cycle guarantees outcomes. The danger isn't believing in XRP. The danger is believing XRP alone will solve everything. Many people confuse conviction with concentration. Believing in a project doesn't mean betting your future on it. Real strategies leave room for error, time, and unexpected outcomes. When everything depends on one asset, stress replaces clarity, and rational decisions become much harder to make. Becoming a millionaire is rarely about one moment or one asset. It's about positioning yourself so that multiple things can go right over time. XRP may contribute to that journey, or it may not. But expecting certainty from markets is how expectations break faster than portfolios. The hardest part isn't choosing the right asset. It's staying consistent when nothing happens, when headlines fade, when price goes sideways. Most wealth isn't built during excitement. It's built during silence. That's where patience quietly compounds, while attention moves elsewhere. Most people don't miss wealth because they were wrong. They miss it because they quit, panic, or chase the next promise. Switching strategies too often feels productive, but it usually resets progress. Consistency isn't exciting, but it's the invisible engine behind nearly every long-term financial outcome. XRP doesn't promise wealth. It offers a tool, a network, and a possible role in a broader system. What it becomes financially depends less on narratives and more on how responsibly it's integrated into real-world plans. Understanding that difference protects you from expectations no asset can realistically fulfill. So the real takeaway isn't a number, a date, or a target price, it's perspective. XRP can't replace discipline, time, or self-awareness, but when understood correctly, it can exist as one component inside a strategy built for resilience, not miracles. And that distinction makes all the difference over the long run. XRP isn't a shortcut. It isn't a guarantee. It's an evolving piece of infrastructure, surrounded by noise, expectations, and hope. Understanding where reality ends and imagination begins is what separates long-term builders from long-term disappointment. If you want to explore the world of crypto, don't chase miracles. Educate yourself. Because in this world, a simple click can change a life. But only knowledge can protect your future.